Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Quijano. Authorities in California have identified two suspected shooters they say went on a shooting rampage in San Bernardino. They are 28-year-old Syed Rizwan Farouk and his wife, 27-year-old Tashfeen Malik. Police say Farouk was U.S. born and was a county employee who had attended a holiday party at the Inland Regional Center, which serves people with developmental disabilities. They say Farouk left that party and then returned to open fire on the celebration. 14 people were killed and 18 others were injured, including a police officer. The San Bernardino police chief held a news conference earlier.
Latest count is we have 14 people that are confirmed dead. We have 17 people that are wounded. Initial information was 14. That number is now 17 that is wounded. I don't know the status of the wounded in terms of numbers that are serious or critical or what that is at this point. And then afterwards, we had an investigation. One of the tips that we were following up on took us to a house in Redlands where we made contact with a suspect vehicle that we were looking for. That resulted in a pursuit, which ultimately came back into the city of San Bernardino. And on San Bernardino Avenue between Richardson and Mountain View Avenue, that pursuit terminated. There was an officer-involved shooting. Last count, I've been told that we had 20 or 21 officers that were involved in that gun battle with the suspects. The two suspects that were in that car are both deceased, and I have their names. First one has been identified as Syed, S-Y-E-D, Rizwan, R-I-Z-W-A-N, last of Farouk, F-A-R-O-O-K. He is 28 years old. I am told that he is U.S. born. The person that was with him is a female. She is deceased as well. Her name is Tashfeen, T-A-S-H-F-E-E-N, last of Malik, M-A-L-I-K. She is 27 years old. I do not have any additional information on where she is from at this point. The reason and how we came across that, and I'll just kind of talk about the investigation a little bit. I'll talk about the investigation a little bit. There was some questions you guys asked in an earlier press conference about a person that had left the meeting angry. This was a meeting, Christmas party type event that was taking place with San Bernardino County employees at the Inland Regional Center. Mr. Farouk is a county employee. He works with his title as an environmental specialist in the public health department, has been employed there for 5 years. He was at the party. He did leave the party early under some circumstances that were described as angry or something of that nature. That is the information that we were following up on when we encountered him back near this residence in Redlands, which led to the pursuit and the officer-involved shooting. And as we've now confirmed, he is one of the deceased. A little bit about the response that we had, some questions that were asked earlier. From the time that we received our first 911 call of a shooting taking place inside the residence, or inside the business, the Inland Regional Center, to the time the first police unit arrived on scene was 4 minutes. Almost immediately after our arrival, we had multiple units arriving, and they immediately entered the building, as I said, responding to an active shooter type situation where they encountered victims and they were in search of the suspects. Multiple teams of officers were going into those various buildings and doing that. From the time that we were able to start extracting those victims, which was a few minutes after we had cleared the first rooms and where we found the victims, to the time from the time we extracted them, got them to the triage center just outside of the business where they were treated by paramedics, and then transported to the hospital was about 15 minutes. So it was fairly fast for a situation such as this. We have gone back and forth between information that they were married or that they were engaged, but there was a relationship. I don't have it definitive as to exactly what that is now. So we initially put out that we had information that there were upwards of 3 shooters. Right now, as we continue to drill down on information and the witness statements that we have, it really looks like we have 2 shooters, and we're pretty comfortable that the 2 shooters that we believe went into the building are the 2 shooters that are deceased up on San Bernardino Avenue. So we have this crime scene. We have the crime scene up on San Bernardino Avenue. We have a house in Redlands, which is where the pursuit originated, where our information took us to. That's being actively worked as well. And as I said, Mr. Farouk was a county employee, so we have obviously secured his office space. in case that has any component to the investigation. We don't have the motive at this point, and I'm really being careful because we all know that when these types of things happen, and we've seen this happen time and time again, there's a lot of information that comes out in the first day, in the first couple days, and that information changes significantly in the days that follow. So until we know the motive, or we really have something clear evidentiary based on that motive, I just don't want to weigh in on that right now. We have not ruled out terrorism. So I had indicated early on that we have victims at the scene. Up until within, I would say, the last couple of hours, we had been working on what we felt were explosive devices left at the scene. We confirmed that we believe that those were explosive devices. I think about an hour or two ago, the bomb squad finally disposed of those particular items. So we are just now getting in there and starting to process the crime scene per se. I don't have the identification on any of the victims at this point. The exact date of birth, I don't. Born in 1987. So we are reasonably confident at this point that we had two shooters and we have two dead suspects, and as I said, they were armed. I do have information on what they were armed with. Both suspects were armed with what was essentially a .223 caliber assault rifle. One was called a DPMS model A15. The other was a Smith & Wesson MMP 15 model. And then both suspects also were armed with semi-automatic handguns. One was manufactured by Llama, and the other was manufactured by Smith & Wesson. ATF is doing the workup on those weapons, and I'll let them weigh in on that later on when they've had time to do that part of their investigation. There were at the shooting scene here at the Inland Regional Center, there were devices that we felt were explosive devices. They have been disposed of.
How many were there, Chief?
3 of them were all together. I personally have not been in contact with them. We are in contact with a number of family members, so they are being interviewed, but I don't know what their statements have been. I don't have any information on criminal records. I think that based upon what we have seen and based upon how they were equipped, there had to have been some degree of planning that went into this. So I don't think they just ran home, put on these types of tactical clothes, grabbed guns, and came back on a spur-of-the-moment thing. So the message, not only for the city, but for this entire region, is we understand people are scared, and we understand that there's concern that there may be more folks out there. Rest assured, we are doing everything we can. We have brought every single asset to the table that we have available in this city, in this county, in this state, and with the help of the federal government to do everything that we can to make people safe here. If we get information that we think that there's another potential threat or something that people need to be concerned about, we will put that information out to protect people. We have indications. I don't know where exactly they live. We have multiple addresses for them. One of the addresses was the Redlands. I don't know if they were living there or if for some reason it was just something that they had listed or if it was another family member's. I don't know that yet. They think we're leaning a little bit more towards like a pipe bomb type design, but specifically what it was made of, I don't have that right now.